Okay, so starting the next presentation. So the next presentator is Laura Sanchez Fernandez. So Laura Sanchez Fernandez, Spanish and passionate about mathematics, education, technology and science with extensive experience in the STEM world. Degree in mathematics in Spain, master's degree in statistics in Chile, and a recent master's degree in machine learning from MILA, Canada. So please clap your hands for Laura Sanchez Fernandez.
Thank you. Well, imagine for a minute that you are in front of two doors. And in the first door, you have a world where the rules are absolutely known. It's very predictable. You have questions that can be answered. You have problems that invite practical solutions. And in another door, you have a situation, a world, where the rules are not so clear. They don't look like they seem. And they are not like they seem. You have questions that invite to bring more questions. And you have problems that just create unsuspected solutions. So if you have these two doors, which one of these two you choose? Well, I'm not going to bring you to the first one. So, are you ready, right? Oops. Okay. So imagine, do you know this film of Looking Up? I think that, no, Don't Look Up. Do you remember that film? Right? This meteorite, the camps, and the scientists were trying to save the world, right? Well, imagine that we are in that situation. You are part of this group of scientists, and you know that we have a 70% probability that this meteorite is going to impact in the world, right? And you know that, as scientific, you need to stop this, right? We have two possibilities in this dilemma. We have to stop by the typical thing, let's destroy this thing, let's protect the world, right? But there is a 70% chance that works, and there is a 30% chance that is not working. So it's something that still is huge, that is not going to be possible to do, okay? So what is the second choice? What if, instead of that, we accept that that is going to happen, and just focus on steer, on prepare, on unify, and focus on survive when this happens. That means let's talk about creativity. Let's talk about collaboration. Let's talk about empathy. I'm not talking to leave the science behind. I'm talking about to see that science has some limitations because we have to still to work on know how to solve a lot of problems. And questions bring more questions, right? But if we involve the creativity here, if we involve other soft skills, those hard ones, right? If we invite to think out of the box, maybe if that happens and the meteorite impacts, we can do something to make that the people that stay can survive, right? So, the future of innovation begins with STEAM: science, technology, engineer, arts, and mathematics. And I'm going to focus in this A, because last year I was talking about the STEAM. We are talking about the STEAM, right? But we need the A in the equation, and I'm going to show you why. How? Well, because through this door that I crossed with you, we're going to go through this maze that is mixing creativity, data, and thinking out of the box. Let's start with the data. So what is happening if today this impacts the world and we need this diversity to can solve the problem of the meteorite, right? We have a big problem. Because even our world is a tech-driven world. The STEM professionals, right, are leading the progress. But what about the diversity here? If you see, you have the percentage of women workers by professional cluster. Well, this is for the World Economic Forum. And here, if you see, in cloud computing, in AI, in data AI engineering, we have less than the 30% of women. We are a little bit behind, right? And instead of that, if we think in content production, people and culture, women are many more than men. So we need to create a balance here, right? Because it's not only that we don't have women in the tech, we don't have men in the non-tech, I mean, right? And, well, in this global view, of course, it's not only to access to the careers, because that is increasing, slowly, but it's increasing. The problem is that what is happening with the leading positions. The last year, I was talking, you can go and see and watch the talk of the last year, and I was talking about how is the educational, which are the statistics in education for leading positions. And I was talking that in education, and specifically in EdTech, we had like 77% of women were in the educational field. But when we go up in the leading positions, at the end, the CEOs of the big companies in education were just 14% of women, passing through losing the people in these leading positions. Well, that is not only happening in education. You can see that is happening in general STEAM careers. If you see, still we are only 29.4% of the workforce in the entry level. But if you go to the chief executive, bye-bye. We have behind the 13%. Come on. So, where is starting this problem? Well, at 12. And I'm going to show you how is this pipeline where we are starting to lose women in STEAM. And actually, it's very funny, because Tatiana and Rita mentioned several things that you are going to see here. And probably you are going to see and listen stories that are going to be identified in every single line of this pipeline. So here we start in the primary education, and we finish in the senior level. So all the ages, right? Here, primary education. And, well, later, if you want, I can pass you all the links, so you can go and see the reports in detail. But basically here, there are some common elements, right? Like the bias, lack of roles, lack of role models, sorry. Also, these stereotypes. But if you see in the process of this, in the primary and secondary level, well, stereotypes, the bias, this, also in the kids, what is happening is that they are not clear about what is a STEAM career. Because one of the things, and this is something that actually lately is happening too much with my friends that have kids, that have girls with that are 12 years, and they have the same problem. Like, they don't see they are creative girls. They are girls that love the arts. And arts, not only the manualities, right? Arts is also painting, is music, is everything. But it's this thing that Rita said that is like, I had ideas, I want to be creative, I think out of the box, right? I don't see limits. But then I go out and I say, well, but I see the engineers, and they are doing all the time, like, you know, like very rigid things, and, you know. So girls, they don't know exactly what is a STEAM career. So there is a lack of understanding of what is happening. But also, start this disengagement. And there is a huge problem also, the family and the cultural expectations. They perceive that in the adolescence, of course. So this is the first part. When we arrive to the tertiary education, university levels, well, we continue with the bias, we continue with the lack of models, with the stereotypes, but here, women have a body. And then starts the harassment, and starts the discrimination. Then we pass to the early career, and you think like, oh, we are adults, we start to understand better how the work is working, how the world is working. But still is the discrimination, still is the harassment, still is all these stereotypes, the bias. And look at this, here starts the problem that there is a lack of mentors. that I think that Tatiana mentioned. So, and also Rita. It's everything, right? All the time is the same. Also, in this age, we start to have kids. Well, I don't have kids, but when women have kids, they have this lack of job security. They have the lack of flexible work arrangements, right? And lack of mentors, lack of role models, discrimination, bias. When we progress and we go to the middle career, well, kids are growth, we are women now powerful, we have the life solved, it should be better, right? No. So, what is happening now? Well, now the thing is that there is less access to development, because I mean, if you are a researcher and you lose 10 years of your life having kids, what is happening, right? Compete with all those men that were creating papers and papers and papers. And I know that the science is like that. Well, you have to choose. You can be a superwoman and do it. But maybe we have to rethink how to evaluate, how we assess the progress, right? This is part of the A. So, we have less access to development, we have retraining, re-entering workforce is more difficult, lack of flexible work arrangements, flawed meritocracy for career advancement, etc. Also, lack of mentor and career interruptions. Then go to the senior level there is the moment. Well, no, because you have increased pressure to be in sit on boards, right? I mean, now you are mature, so you should be in another level, right? And start again the bias, start to be careful of the responsibilities, right? And still there is discrimination and sexism. Because women, when are older, well, you are too older now, right? So, looks dramatic, but it's not. We have solutions. So, what is the solution? Emotion, empathy, and success in STEM starts with the missing part of the equation. It's the A of arts. And what is bringing this A of arts? Well, I think that for doing these things, we have 3 main points that we have to focus on and change. That is like, with this A of arts that we think out of the box, that we have connection with the emotions. So then we are beyond the numbers. We are having emotions driving the innovation. That is the key part of the A. Also, we are going to have, if we put more role models with visibility, if we show women that are doing this creative process, we don't need that is a prize Nobel. That is also good. We need those roles also, right? But if we have my neighbor, my friend, the student that I saw that is next to me in the class, that was traveling through Canada and trying blah, 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 right? Or we have this woman that started in Argentina and now is dealing with the Dubai people, right? I mean, is inspiring or not? Yes, right? And it's someone that you are taking a coffee very normal. Maybe you are not in the news, but it's your visibility role model. Right? It's your visible model. So, what is the third thing? We have to redefine the success. And we have to be from the results to evaluate, give value to the process. The journey matters. And we need to think a way to assess and evaluate and give visibility to the process. So, what is the solution for this? Of course, is education, right? So, is happening something? No? Okay, education is at the heart. I always confuse hearth and heart. Well, at the heart, right, of the crisis. All the crises are based in education. Of course, the crisis in education, right, is nothing new. I mean, we know that education has to change, the world is changing. It's not that everything that in the past is bad, but we need to renew things and, we need to connect in a different way with the students that have references, are educated for internet, are educated for YouTube, for TikTokers, for Instagram. We have to rethink this thing, right? Because also we have crisis in climate. We have crisis and we have an educational crisis about how to inform about climate change, about what is happening in the world. We need the science accessing to the people, to the knowledge, to understand what is happening, which are the possible solutions from the science, and involve the creativity here, right? And of course, we have a crisis, a technological crisis. We have this tech literacy. We need to educate people to understand how to use the technology properly. Because remember that artificial intelligence that is on the discussions today about is going to destroy the world. Well, we need to remember that algorithms answer to the people that create them. And also is working based in who created and what feeds it. So we need to understand how is that, educate people to can use properly the technology, and so we are going to have the technology serving us and not in the inverse way. And the crisis in health. Well, I don't have to talk about this, right? We know how it was in COVID and the misinformation and everything, right? So we need to educate people about how health is working and how important is the collaboration, to be together and to understand that everything is an impact for you and for me and for everyone. So STEAM approach is the key part in all these equation parts. And, well, of course, I'm not going to put this scenario and don't give solutions. It's not me. So let's think about the power of diversity and possible actions. So, for example, I'm going to give just 5 ideas, okay? Of course, can be many more. So, what is the power of diversity here? Well, we enhances problem solving and creative and critical thinking. How can we create a solution for that? For example, let's create interdisciplinary teams that are mixing, integrating not only the science, but also this approach that is more artistic. Let's bring the talents, artistic talents, to the conversations in science. Second, we increase the empathy, the collaboration, the connection. How can we do that? Well, let's implement reversal dynamics to propose empathy and collaboration within teams. I mean, put in the shoes of the others. That is the best exercise. The third thing, this increases the creativity and innovation. How can we do that? Well, let's organize mentorships spaces to connect STEAM women with students that can mentor them, that can show them what is inspiring, what to do. We need, the other day I was talking with Ali, and actually we were talking about this. Sometimes we need this person that can give us a next step vision, because the problem is that we don't see farther. If we arrive to a point that we don't see a future, why I'm going to go there, right? So we need mentorships, and we can do it through events like that. Also, improves resilience and adaptability. And how can we do that? Well, let's create hackathons, but let's change a little bit this thing of the hackathons, please, because I participate in some hackathons, and we need a little bit more balance and gender diverse groups, right? Because we want to assess these processes and the resilience and evaluate in some way this process, not just the final result, yeah? And the final one, the evaluation of individual talents. And this, I love for you. Let's create a storytelling workshops for scientists, right? Because we need to communicate better, I mean. So, and let's just create these collaboration projects that we can reinforce the strengths and the characteristics of each one in a creative way. And, well, we are talking about role models and all of that, right? So I have to talk about me because I'm an example of this thing. I mean, I'm a mathematician in Spain. I'm a statistician in Chile. I did a master in artificial intelligence in Milan, but also I was traveling through the entrepreneur world. And then also I started my creative process to try to create a platform in education, then involved to create a podcast that nothing is linear. So I started a podcast with an intention. Now it's focusing its team, right? But it's a podcast that is already 2 years, is listening in 27 countries. So I'm important. So, and also I'm creating internet content. I'm creating a profile in Instagram because I want to be that woman that is at least someone that is giving visibility of we can do things, we can try, we don't need perfection. We need just to try. As Resma Saujani, that I mentioned the last year, also says, don't teach women be perfect, just be to be brave, right? So I'm here to show that it's possible to be brave. It's possible to be creative. I was creating my first animation, just, like type of comic with the help of another STEAM woman that is now living the economic world that she is working and is creative now in this way. So, we can do a lot of things. We can communicate in different ways, and the path never is linear. The path is taking curves, and the path is possible if you just go through it. So cross the second door. Cross the second door where the rules are not fixed, where the questions bring more questions, where the problems invite unexpected solutions. Cross that door, cross, try, show up. And I'm a mathematician, so I have to create a sentence with mathematics because I want to see how much do you know about functions. So let's bet on STEAM leadership as Y equals X, this line, right? Growing infinitely and without restrictions in the real world. And let's make a change together. I will be happy to collaborate in any events about mentorship, about to promote, to have more women in STEAM and save this world of these meteorites that we have today. Thank you.
So thank you very much for this amazing presentation. Were there any questions? Yes. It's too list to hear the question for the videos.
Okay. So thank you for your presentation. I just have one comment and one question. You mentioned that a lot of companies don't hire women because they have children. I actually heard a boss one time that I worked with, he was like, hire a woman till she has a child and don't hire a man till he has a child, because he used children as a weapon. But yeah, that's true and that exists. And speaking about podcast, I have a podcast also, but it's in Arabic. And in one of the episodes, I had a guest who is a petroleum engineer. She's a woman, and we were talking about the things she faced to reach to this position and to leave Egypt and work in UK. One of the things that you mentioned is how culture can affect women in STEM fields. So for a lot of people in the Middle East, a lot of women in the Middle East, it's not that easy for their family to agree that they can go and like have a scholarship somewhere else or work in some other company. So what can we do to start shifting the thinking of these communities toward like it's normal for her to travel, it's normal for a woman to go search for opportunities in so many other places, not like outside of her country. Thank you.
Ooh. Challenge question. Okay, first of all, to the comment, yeah, everything that affects the women are affecting the men also. It's something that we don't see sometimes, but it's just, the case that you mentioned is just an example. But about this thing of women in the Middle East is complicated, but I don't know the culture itself. I know people from there and I know that it's happening. But always I think that everyone has some reason to change their minds. You have to find that point. And in those places, they are very focused in the progress. And so maybe what we have to do is to change the benefits that they are going to have if they change their mind. Because money is very important, and maybe if we touch that point, we create that need. It's just an idea. But it's not easy. But it's just look for the space that the need is created. And just show that the solution is to open this door. But cannot be done alone. And it's a process that we have to do together, showing from the other parts that we are, because we are not there, right? So how can we do from where we are to change that and to provoke that need? Showing how the world is evolving and everyone is winning. And if we show from here, they are going to see it from there.
Hello. You showed a graphic where we see the rate of women in position of power or different leadership positions. And so I saw up to the director position, it was 26%. And then, yeah, how can we? I remember it vaguely. Yeah. So the next one. Yeah, so up to the director was pretty high, 27, and then from vice president to chief executive, it went down drastically. So is there an explanation why women are capped at although it's already not enough, 27, but still, why is it going downwards from there?
Well, it's actually what we saw in the pipe, right? It's just, there is a, oops. I put this. So if you see here, when you're in the senior level, right, you have bias, you have discrimination, you have sexism, but also you have, in the previous stages, lack of role models. So then you don't see women leading with that. I mean, if you listen, for me it was very inspired the talk that Tatiana made, because she was explaining this situation. You know, it's like I'm in front of investors and they are asking for my boss. And I have to convince them that time there was. Is very, you know, if you are not really a strength, if you are not having a clear vision about what you want and how to reach it, it's very difficult sometimes to have this strength to go and fight against and against and again and again and again against these situations. So this is part of the problem, but also is to flip this perspective about how a woman can lead. And it's happening because of our idea about how leadership is. We have a leadership focus in results in something like this situation when I show how to proceed with the method. If you see the first one is a hand that is like a strong, is this is a perspective that is very, you know, a standard way. So when we think about leadership, we think that soft skills are soft. You know, and usually women, we tend to be more talking about, you know, the empathy, about the collaboration, and this is shown as a weakness, not as a strength. So there are different situations that provoke that. I don't have all the answers, of course, but these are things that you can ask and see every day, and actually are studies of that. So I can pass you later the resources. There are thousands of studies, and yeah, but that's it.
Yeah, hi. I have a question and maybe a comment, a combination. I would be quite curious to know the turnover rate. So at a senior level, we're maybe at 13%, but I've noticed in the industry that there's very low tolerance for error for women. So I think the turnover rate is much higher. You know, one decision or one move that's done by a woman, the woman is gone, they replace her, you know?
Yeah, but this
the man is doing tons of errors, but he's just there forever, you know. So I've seen this in the industry and at many levels, actually,
Yeah.
but in management, yeah.
Yeah, it's this thing of, right, discrimination and sexism. I mean, it's part of this. It's just, it's like, you know, there's less passions about women. It's like this sensation. But again, it's only because we are focused about results. We are not giving the value to the process, so then we are not giving value to the errors. It's very funny because, actually, Tatiana can correct me if I'm wrong, but in the entrepreneur world, the thing is that all the time they tell you like, oh, as you said, fail fast and fail, you know, a lot because that is success. But then when you go to the entrepreneur world, you know, it's like you enter to the incubator and you have to have something successful because if not, I mean, so it's like, okay, but you told me that I can fail, but if I fail, then I don't receive the money. So can I see where is the finish of this, right? So the thing is that still we are very, how is said in English? Like we are not consistent in our discourse. Actions versus what we say. So again, we have to change the perspective. We have to change and focus and we have to change the way that we define success. And the A is the key part. Because in artists, you don't pretend that they create the greatest partiture, the greatest drawing, the greatest wherever. The first time, actually, you appreciate the story of the artist that was like all the life doing these things and blah, 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 right? Because it's an artist. We understand that it's a creative process. But in science, it's like, we see something, but then we do another thing. We have to change the perspective of how we define the success.
I'll go.
Oui. First of all, thank you for your presentation. I really felt you when you talk about if a woman or even a man stop career for 1 year or even some months, it can be passed away from the evolution. It's very hard, especially in some domains like data science or artificial intelligence. I would say even if we don't stop, even if we have a full-time job, it's not easy to keep updated. It's the evolution is like exponential evolution. Yeah. So I don't know if you have some tips to be updated about especially technologies, maybe participating in some events like this one, for example, or more scientific events. I'll just comment, but if you can just comment it. Thank you.
I think that it would be very interesting to create this symposium and conferences where women that are in this age, right, in this process between the 30s, the 40s, right, they can create spaces where they can show their progress and they can show how in these small steps that they were doing progress, you know? So let's create these spaces to show up ourselves in the way that we want to show up. And let's invite then the other people to rethink and see this from the other's perspective. So yeah, so create new events where we put the rules. Maybe it's a good instance.
Okay, well, I have a little question concerning the actions that you present, and I'm very interested in the one that you said, create, organize a mentorship space connecting females, professionals with students. Can you tell me how to do it? Do you have examples? Because really, for me, it's very difficult to make. I agree with that, but I don't know how.
Go to work to the incubators. Go to work to, you know, the networking of people like, you know, like Rita, like Tatiana. Look to go to acts for women in internet. Check in internet. There are people like me creating content. And when you connect with them, I connect with different influencers that are in the media, really, and they answer immediately. Because it's not very typical that a woman asks to another woman to mentor them in something that is very natural for them. So sometimes it's not that they are not, it's just that we don't think that we can ask. So just go in internet, ask to your students what they are looking for, which are the people that they are following, and just put in their situation and think what they are interested to, and check between all those influencers who is the person that could be the first one, and that is going to have networking. And networking is just starting. I hope it helps.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay.
Last one. Hello.
Thank you. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
I really enjoyed your presentation. It's true, I can't relate, but just the little I got for me was really inspiring. And I just want to know something, because I've had an experience in my country. I was in a company, and actually the director of the company was a woman. And my experience with that woman was, she was the one, I don't understand. How do you go about a woman that instead of the woman supporting the women, but it was instead the one, how can I put in? Because let's take, for example, you spoke about the fact that women will give birth, and it's a very big problem for some women in some companies. Let's take, in that company, the woman, whenever a woman gives birth, she even tends to like sack the woman. Like, it's okay, she drives you away. And at a certain level, the way she treated us, the women in the company, I will not lie, the only idea I had in my mind was I wanted to run away. That was the only thing. So I don't know, in such a situation, how do you manage such? And for me, it's very important what you taught here, because women really need to know about this, that it's not leadership, it's more about being, there's a difference between a manager and a leader.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, that's a very short thing. Not all the people can be a leader, and you don't need to stay in a place that there is not a leader. You have to go where the value is there. We are not trying to become managers and leaders. We want that leaders go and show up. And managers are going to move just by the movement natural of the leaders. So if you think that this is not the place, just move, go to another place, because it's not your mission to change this person. And yet the movement out is going to change that person.
Thank you once again. Is it okay if you ask it like at the next break, because we have to have the next presentation? So thank you once again. Thank you very much.